everyone. So today we're going to be checking out a Springfeild doll. So I'm going to show you the box that she came in. So it says her name is Madison, and it says that, "Hi, my name is Madison, and my dream is to be a famous singer. My friends and I love to sing along with the radio. We pretend we have our own band and rock out on air guitars. I just landed my first solo in choir class, and I'm very excited to perform in front of my school." So that is Madison. That is what she's supposed to look like. Now, the photos on the box are pretty accurate to what the dolls actually look like, which I do like. They don't use art or anything. They just use actual stock photos of the dolls. But I will say, on the actual dolls, the teeth are not painted perfectly. So if you look closely, her teeth are not painted perfectly like the dolls on the box. I'm not too bothered by that because this is a cheaper doll. You are paying only $25 for this, so I'm not super unhappy about the teeth not painted perfectly because that can even happen with the more expensive American Girls. So I'm not super unhappy about that. You don't really see it unless you look close. So, yeah. She is very cute. As you can see when you lie her down, her eyelashes do not... Well, they do cover her eyes, but you can kind of still see through them, so that's a little weird. So... yeah, the eyelashes are not as thick as on an American Girl doll. She does have a shine mark on her nose from being in the package. Her hair quality is not super great. I would say is what you call, it's probably like dollar store doll hair. To put it nicely, it's not the greatest doll hair that you could possibly get. But I'm not super bothered by that because it's not very thick either. But I'm not super bothered by that because overall it's not a terrible doll. The plastic is not super thin, but it is cheaper plastic than what an American Girl is made out of. So she is made out of, I would say, the same stuff as our generation or My Life as, maybe slightly cheaper. But it's not dollar store plastic. It's still decent enough. So there's that. So something that they should work on is the hair fiber. They could definitely use better hair fiber for these dolls. The body fabric does feel like a pillowcase. She does not come with underwear. All she comes with is a plain dress. They all come with plain dresses. So it does vary depending on the doll you get. So each one comes with a plain dress. Each doll has a different color plain dress with a ribbon across the front that does not go all the way around. That's disappointing to me. I thought the ribbon would at least go all the way around because all you're getting is a plain dress, but yeah, the dress is not very impressive at all. So it's just a very cheap plain dress that you get with the doll, so it's not naked. So it's better than being naked, but not by much. So overall, this is a cute doll. I'm not saying not get her because she does have an interesting combination. Like, I chose this one because she looks like a dark classic mold, and I thought that was very interesting. Because if you look at her, she looks like a dark classic mold. She kind of has kind of the fake American Girl look to her, which I thought was interesting as well. So she kind of looks like a create your own, but kind of like a fake create your own. So I thought that was kind of interesting, so I had to get her, check her out. But she was a gift, so I did not actually pay for her. She was a gift from Lizzie's mom. So I didn't actually pay for her, but she retails for $25. As you can see, her hands are a little different than an American Girl. And her feet are a little different than an American Girl as well. So I'm thinking because she's not at all a recast, they can get away with making her look similar because she's not at all a recast. Her face mold is definitely a different face mold. It just looks very similar to an American Girl. But if you weren't a doll expert, you might confuse this with an American Girl. So, yes, if you weren't an expert on dolls, you might confuse this with an actual American Girl. So, I am going to show you an actual American Girl so that we can show you what they look like next to. See, this is an actual American Girl. You can see like the face mold is very similar. Now this face mold does not come in dark skin for an American Girl. They don't have a similar, unless you get to create your own, you can't get a dark skin classic mold. But this is what they're trying to replicate. So they're trying to replicate this type of face. But this is a white doll, but it sort of shows what the face they're trying to replicate. As you can see, it's very similar to an American Girl face, but it's not exactly the same. As you can see on the Springfeild doll, the teeth are bigger, and on the American Girl, the teeth are smaller. And overall, the mouth is bigger on the Springfeild doll because it has bigger teeth. And I think that the nose is the same size, but it might be just slightly wider. I think that the cheeks are maybe shaped a little differently. But it's not that much different than the American Girl face mold, where I think a lot of people would get very confused if they didn't see them side by side. So that's why I'm kind of showing this side by side, so you can see the difference between this is an American Girl, this is a Springfeild face. So you can see the difference between the faces side by side. Now I think that this is a pretty convincing doll that if you gave this to a really young kid, they would not know the difference. I actually would recommend this as a first doll for a younger child because they may wreck an American Girl, where this, if they wreck it, it's not as big of a deal. So this is actually a pretty decent starter doll for a younger child. If you're worried that they're going to actually wreck an American Girl doll, this is actually not a bad choice. It looks like one, so there's that. On our generation, or My Life As, doesn't really look exactly like an American Girl like this doll does. It looks almost exactly like a real one. So there's that. This doll looks almost exactly like an American Girl. She just looks slightly different. And her quality isn't as good, but she looks slightly different than an American Girl. So, yeah. If you are wondering if this is technically a counterfeit, it is not, because the face mold is technically, I will show you, it's technically marked that it's not an American Girl. It's marked FCM 1996, made in China. So these dolls are actually marked that they are Fibercraft. So they are not pretending to be American Girl, they are not unmarked, and they are not marked Pleasant Company. So they can get away with making their dolls look similar because they are not pretending to be American Girl. They just look very similar. But they do not lie to people that they are American Girl. If you look on the back of them, you can definitely tell that they are not American Girl. because they are not marked American Girl. So that is a good indicator that this is not a counterfeit doll. This is just a doll that looks very similar to an American Girl. But this is why I'm doing this video, so that if you are out in the wild or at a thrift store or something and you see this, even if you see this and you are not a doll expert, you know how to identify this as not an American Girl. If it's in good condition, it may be worth some money, but it's not going to be worth what an American Girl would be worth. I would say if you're buying this used, I would say it's not worth a lot. Brand new, they only go for $25, so I would not spend a lot of money on a used one. They tend to go for about the same price used because, you know, people tend to want these, but that's with shipping and things like that. They tend to go for the same price as when they're used, even new in box. So yeah, they tend to go for the same price on eBay when you pay for shipping and taxes and all that. It's about the same price buying it used or new. So you might be better off picking it up at the store so you get a brand new one. But yeah. If you find it at the thrift store, make sure to inspect it, because I did once find one of these at the thrift store. I did think about buying it, but as you can see, even though my doll is brand new, as you can see, the leg construction is very weak. So it can vary, the inner leg part can very easily rip. You can see that it's already a little bit ripped, and I just got this doll. So yeah, you have to be very, very careful with these dolls, because the limbs can very easily get ripped out of the sockets, and that is not good. So honestly, these aren't the greatest quality, because originally they were designed to be sewing models. So originally these were not even designed to be played with. These were designed for sewing practice. These were designed for people to use for sewing for American Girl dolls. So if you had an American Girl doll and you said, well, I want to make outfits for my American Girl doll, you would buy one of these to kind of use as a dress, what do they call it, like a dress mannequin, and then you would use this to kind of like use when you're like pinning clothes and like things like that. That's what you would use this for. You wouldn't play with this. You would just use this for like sewing and things like that. These were not designed for play originally, so that may be why they're not the greatest quality. They were never originally designed for that purpose. But people do use them as play dolls, but they were not originally intended for that purpose. That's not the original intention for them. People usually buy them for making clothes for dolls. So that's the usual purpose for these. But she is very cute. So as far as Madison goes, I think she's very cute. For a play doll, she gets a decent rating. She's not bad, but she's not, I would say, excellent. So I would say this is a good alternative for somebody that needs something that is a lower price point than an American Girl, because it does look like one, but it's not as expensive. So if you need a doll that's not as expensive, this is a good alternative. I will see you guys next time, and in the next videos I will be showing you some outfits that you can get for these dolls. Bye now.